Ever wanted to know what goes on in a mosque? Well, a mosque in Cheetham Hill is offering tours of the building during Ramadan, and I went along on one of these tours last week. Carol, the delightful Carol, Sandra actually. Sandra was the tour guide, and she took us to the dome of the building.
Okay, so this is a dome. Feel free to go underneath because, as you can hear, when I'm speaking, the sound echoes. So again, you might find dome structures in mosques, but they're not just specific to mosques. So you visit churches and various other places, they tend to have a dome structure as well. It just depends on the architecture and the design of the person who's building the mosque. It generally looks quite nice as well, so it's usually a feature that you'll find in the mosque. The purpose of the dome is to resonate the sound, so when people are praying, you know, you can hear the sound, the echo, and that was the purpose of it really. But I think nowadays it's more just for architecture, you know, just because it looks nice. So again, if you go to Muslim countries in particular, you'll find in Malaysia they quite like the domes, so there's quite a few domes. They might build 2 or 3 on there. What you might also find when you go to a mosque is, you won't find one here, but they usually have a minaret, so it's a separate structure, and then at the top you'll have the person who does the call to prayer. In Muslim countries or in certain places, you'll have the person called to prayer. So again, in churches and places like that, they have the bell, so they tell people to come to prayer. Muslims, they have the human being and they do the call to prayer and say, come to prayer. And they have the minarets for that purpose, so that's mainly in Muslim countries. So you won't find anyone shouting out the call to prayer at 3 o'clock in the morning. Or you might be calling the council if you do that.
There she is. Sajjad Amin, I'm delighted to say he joins me in the studio now. Who is he? A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mike.
Thank you very much indeed for taking time to be with us this morning. Now, you invited us to go along to this event, this tour of the mosque. What is your role, first of all?
I'm a volunteer at the centre at UKM Khizra Mosque in Cheetham Hill, and I help with the organising and the delivery of these programmes that they have during the month of Ramadan.
Now tell me why you are inviting people to come in.
It's something that our local mosque has done for 20, 30 years, where they've invited people and they've had these communal fasts. In its current form, it's been going on for a few years, where they invite members from the wider community to come and experience the opening of the fast, have a presentation, a tour of the mosque, and as you may have seen, actually, from the people that attended that day, around half had never been to a mosque before, so it's a very good way of improving understanding, having communication, dialogue, and hopefully we can improve understanding.
You say almost half. There must have been 50-something people on that tour. I was astonished.
Yeah, that's right. It was the largest tour that we had. I think it was on the day of the referendum. Everyone was probably sick of all the campaigning. They wanted to get away, but no, we had a very good turnout, and we've had other good days as well where we've had high turnouts.
So, at the moment, you, for instance, are fasting.
That's right.
You hosted, it wasn't a question and answer session, it was a presentation after we had the tour, and then you then explained to us everything about the mosque and about Ramadan and about Muslims. Is this a way of spreading the word about Islam? Is that your reasoning for doing this?
No, I wouldn't say it's spreading the word of Islam. It's for me, it's about opening those channels of communication. It's about dispelling misconceptions, improving understanding, and there are many people, as we said, had never visited a mosque before, and for them it's just letting them know that Muslims are normal people as well, and letting them know about some of the activities that take place in the mosque and what the month of Ramadan is about.
So, for all the people who weren't on the tour, what is the month of Ramadan all about?
The month of Ramadan, it's the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. Muslims refer to it as the month of mercy, and it's a month where Muslims become a lot more charitable, a lot more generous. They involve themselves in a lot more worship of their Lord. It's a month where you have the zakat, which is the 3rd pillar of Islam, where Muslims tend to make that payment of that 2.5% of their wealth to the needy people. So there's a lot of benefits, and that's what Ramadan is. It's about fasting in daylight hours as well.
Now, something I learned about the fasting was this. I'll tell you straight up. I never knew that once you had your early meal, you could then go back to sleep. I thought once you had that meal, you had to stay awake.
No, once you've had your, because the nights are very short at this time of the year. You have your meal at around maybe 2 o'clock. Fast starts at around 3 o'clock. So you've probably had very little sleep already. So once you've had your meal, said your prayer, then you can go straight back to sleep. If you're working in the morning, you'll manage to get a few hours sleeping before you go back to work.
And excuse the question, but I'm going to ask it. Does everybody do the fast?
It's not compulsory for everyone to fast. There are certain exemptions for certain groups of people. So those children, those that are unable, those that are travelling, women that are breastfeeding, for example, the elderly, those that are not of sound mind. So there are many exemptions where people are exempt from fasting.
And we're nearly out of time. If somebody listening to this now wanted to come on one of these tours, because they're running till the end of Ramadan, yes?
That's right.
How do they get in touch with you?
We have a number. We have today, and then we have next weekend as well. It's Khizra Masjid. That's KHIZRA MASJID.org. We've got Facebook, website, Twitter. Do get in touch. If you want to visit, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much.
Well, Sajjad, can I thank you, first of all, for coming in this morning, and thank you also for inviting us onto the tour. I don't know if you heard the two pieces we ran earlier. We ran one again just a few minutes ago. It was absolutely fantastic. I think anybody who goes on that will learn something about your religion, and it was an eye-opener for me.
I'm very grateful that you took the time out to be with us because it's so late, but thank you.
Oh yeah, and there was a nice meal at the end of it, wasn't there? We didn't get time to talk about the meal.